Bonjour à tous, je suis Kathryn Anthonisen, vice-présidente relations extérieures à CANARIE. Je vais faire un petit expériment ce matin. Je ne suis pas francophone, mais je voudrais vous présenter un peu en français ce matin. J'ai mes notes ici et merci beaucoup. Et j'espère que vous me pardonniez quand je fais les erreurs, parce que je vais faire les erreurs, mais en tout cas, on y va. Digital infrastructure in the spotlight. I'll start just by giving a very broad overview of CANARIE for those who aren't familiar with what CANARIE does. Really, when we were created back in 1993 by the federal government, funded primarily by the federal government, the goal was to introduce and spur the adoption of advanced digital technologies by Canadians. And we have been doing that for the past 23 years in education communities, in small business communities, in government communities. We take a broad look at what Canadians need in terms of advanced technologies, and we believe that results in these three outcomes. We accelerate innovation, we build our knowledge economy here in Canada. But for us, that's quite a broad view to take, so we coalesce that into our vision. Everything we do at CANARIE aligns behind this vision of research, collaboration, and innovation anytime. And we think that's quite a powerful way to envision a future in which Canadians have access to powerful technologies that can drive us to leadership in any number of domains. I'm going to come back to that in a little while and give you a better picture of what that looks like on the ground, but just kind of as a framework for CANARIE. And a bit more of a framework, a bit of our history. Many of you know CANARIE is the national partner for Canada's research and education network with RISQ and our other provincial and territorial partners. We run a network that connects almost 2,000 educational institutions across Canada that's available to millions of Canadians at universities, colleges, research hospitals, and research labs in government. And that really is the foundation for everything else we've done. That tremendous digital asset has allowed us to then look broadly across communities and try to address gaps and incent the use of advanced technologies. So in addition to the network that we now run 23,000 kilometers of fiber optic cable from coast to coast, data traffic on that network is increasing by 50% a year, and that's only slated to increase. But we also look broader. We're involved in developing software for researchers to help them accelerate their knowledge creation and access remote data and tools. We operate Canadian Access Federation. Many of you in the room, I believe, are participants in the Access Federation that offers identity and access management services and also supports mobile communities of staff, students, and faculty who are traveling to other institutions, and they're automatically connected to the Wi-Fi there. We also support small businesses through cloud services. Chris just talked a lot about the cloud, and I'll get into a little more detail there, but we have over 550 small businesses using CANARIE's free cloud resources. So when we look across our communities and look for gaps, we also need to look closely at what's happening more broadly in the Canadian economy. And those of you in the room know we're moving from a resource-based economy to one that embraces more digital technologies, the internet-based economy. And we can argue about how quickly or slowly that's happening in Canada, but certainly the internet economy is growing. Right now it's 3 to 4% of GDP, but that's likely to increase in the future, mostly because of this. We're running out of descriptors for the amounts of data that we're generating. And these examples here come from big science facilities around the world, but there's all kinds of, how many Fitbits do we have in the room? What's going on with the applications on your phone, the cameras in the metro, the sensors in the building for temperature. We're just creating extraordinary amounts of data. So I'd like you to think of it this way. If a terabyte, which used to be considered a huge amount of data, was a meter, where would a yottabyte get you to if you're moving out into space? How far away do you think that would be? If a terabyte is a meter, a yottabyte gets you to Saturn. So that's kind of what we're trying to manage and deal with, and the rate of change that is only increasing as we move forward.
Bien. Bon, pour relever tous ces défis et pour profiter des opportunités qui se présentent, nous avons besoin d'un écosystème de l'infrastructure numérique qui intègre ces 4 éléments:
le réseau, les centres de calcul, les installations de stockage
et les logiciels, les mêmes 4 éléments qui permettent de vous envoyer les courriels, de préparer des feuilles de calcul et de préparer des documents sur votre ordinateur portable. Mais pour la recherche, ces éléments sont configurés pour répondre aux besoins spécifiques des chercheurs canadiens. Ce sont ces personnes qui font les recherches intensives de données de classe mondiale. Mais à quoi se rassemblent-ils?
What does that look like? And for us, this is where the vision comes alive. Imagine the seamless integration of those elements, network, data, compute, and software, that's as easily accessible to a researcher doing high-energy particle physics or materials investigation or genomics as our interaction with our various devices. A thin client interface, integrated tools that are available, that's where we think Canadians get research, collaboration, and innovation anytime. And we don't necessarily believe that requires more investment in the digital infrastructure ecosystem. Really, it requires a vision we can all align behind and better integration of the elements of that ecosystem. So I'll get into that in a bit more detail.
Et parler de notre mandat actuel. Bon, comment va CANARIE? Va-t-il évoluer afin de remplir son nouveau mandat? Heureusement, nous avons reçu 105 millions de dollars pour investir dans l'infrastructure numérique de la recherche jusqu'à l'année 2020. Le cours de notre mandat actuel est de consolider et de renforcer l'écosystème de l'infrastructure numérique de la recherche. Cela signifie que nous allons agir dans 3 domaines: l'exploitation du réseau, l'innovation technologique et l'innovation par le secteur privé. Mais nous ne sommes pas seuls dans l'écosystème de l'infrastructure numérique de la recherche. Nous travaillerons avec nos partenaires pour combler les lacunes et réaliser notre vision de l'infrastructure numérique de la recherche. Et maintenant, comment fait-on cela?
Especially when we have an organization of 30 employees at CANARIE. So how do we, align stakeholders behind this vision? How do we move forward towards it? Well, we have a very strong governance model, and we rely on our stakeholder partners in the community. We simply could not do it without the support and participation of many folks in this room, CIO Advisory Committee, Research Advisory Committee, to help us shape and progress our programs going forward. And I'd just like to give you a very brief overview in those 3 areas: network evolution, technology innovation, private sector innovation, to give you a sense of where we hope to move the bar during this mandate. So first, the network. So CANARIE runs the backbone network of the National Research and Education Network, together with our partners RISQ and others. We are continually evolving this network, that those data streams aren't getting any smaller, so we have a range of initiatives. Connectivity to the north, given there are increasing research activities happening in the far north of Canada. We're always looking to reduce our infrastructure cost. We are looking to adopt security monitoring tools, as that is a requirement of our stakeholders, and of course invest in high availability, look at software-defined networking, network function virtualization. All of these evolutionary tools are very important as we continue to stay ahead of where the community is. Because remember, it's infrastructure. You have to build the roads before you can put the houses in the subdivision, and that's really what CANARIE does, is try and be out ahead of our stakeholder needs.
Mais CANARIE est seulement un des partenaires dans le réseau national. C'est vraiment un effort de collaboration entre CANARIE, RISQ et les 10 autres réseaux provinciaux et territoriaux. Cet groupe crée maintenant un plan stratégique pour guider les initiatives jusqu'à 2020. Dans ce programme, il y a des fonds pour investir dans les initiatives qui font partie du plan stratégique et il y a des fonds pour investir dans les réseaux suivant un modèle concurrentiel. Dans ces deux programmes, le but est d'assurer l'évolution d'un réseau national cohérent qui rencontre les besoins des utilisateurs dans les domaines de la recherche, de l'éducation et de l'innovation.
So that's network. Now briefly, services on top of that tremendous digital asset include the Canadian Access Federation. Now, the Eduroam service, many of you I think know about the Eduroam service, has taken off like a bullet. We've got 7 million logins a month we are supporting on Eduroam, so it really has been a success story, and we continue to improve the infrastructure to make sure that that's a highly reliable service. The second service we offer under Canadian Access Federation is for us a strategic enabler for this community, and that is identity and access management, federated single sign-on. So allowing your staff, students, and faculty to access tools and resources remotely using their institutional credentials and specific permissions. So when you look at things like shared cloud services or open data, how are you going to ensure that the right people are accessing those tools and resources, and the people who aren't allowed to access those tools, resources don't? So for us, that is really this federated single sign-on service. It's more of a slow growth service, but again, we are pushing hard because we believe it's strategic, certainly for the educational community who are forever under budget pressures. And shared services certainly is one of the ways to address that. I spoke earlier about research software tools. So again, CANARIE's been investing in research software since 2007. And before that, and certainly vast numbers of researchers do it now, they take a chunk of their grant and they hire a computer science postgrad, and they have that individual build their very specific software for them, which is fine, but that research money isn't going towards research, it's going towards building tools. We think the tool building can be done in a different way. And at CANARIE, we support the development of two kinds of research. One is a research platform, and the research platform takes you right through the workflow, from data collection, storage, processing, and visualization into something that a human being can interpret. We fund the development of those platforms, but in doing that, we realized there were lots of bits and pieces of software that were common among those platforms. There was a common data harmonization tool, or a HPC access tool, or a scheduling tool or something. So we started to fund not only the platforms that cover the whole research workflow, but also reusable software services that any researcher can use to build their platforms, and they're available at science.canarie.ca, and we continue to fund the development of those reusable, highly reliable software tools. And as we go forward, our long-term vision is really to reduce the number of platforms, make them more generic, and increase the number of reusable software services in the toolkit so that there are a few generic platforms that could potentially be used by most of Canada's researchers using these reusable software services. So we continue to promote that paradigm as we go forward.
Eh bien, il semble qu'il y a un certain nombre de signaux politiques qui pointent vers les données ouvertes. Ça veut dire que les données de recherche seront disponibles pour la réutilisation par les autres chercheurs et par les personnes dans le secteur privé. CANARIE soutient financièrement l'organisme de données de recherche Canada, le DRC, qui est un organisme consacré à la gestion et la réutilisation des données de recherche au Canada. À l'avenir, CANARIE aidera le DRC à mener les dialogues entre les partenaires pour aider à construire une stratégie pour les données de recherche et de développer les normes, les outils, les infrastructures qui soutiendront les politiques des données de recherche. Briefly, I will speak about CANARIE's initiatives in support of the private sector. Remember, we're all about adopting advanced technologies, and Canadian businesses are lousy at adopting advanced technologies. It's part of the innovation gap that we're struggling with right now. So CANARIE offers a free cloud, very powerful OpenStack resources to any entrepreneur or small business in Canada for a year. And the goals are twofold. The first goal is to help those businesses accelerate product development. So get to market quicker, or even more importantly, perhaps fail quickly and start over again and try until you get it. That's one goal. The other goal is to get Canadian businesses to understand the power of the cloud in marketing to a global customer base. The agility and the scalability, the cost of cloud, we really want to ensure that these businesses make the cloud a part of their business plan. So we will continue to offer the service, but in this mandate, we're going to offer more education and training, because what we've found is even though these businesses are using the cloud, they're not maximizing the capabilities there. So they're just kind of doing what they think they can do, not knowing what is possible for them to do. So our goal is to get them through that year, and then they launch onto a commercial cloud, building commercial capability in Canada, hopefully, and launching a great new round of Canadian-based products and services. The other initiative we're involved in with Juniper, our earlier speaker, is a Center of Excellence in Next Generation Networks. And you might be familiar with we have centers of excellence for all kinds of things. This one is for Next Generation Networks, a partnership between private sector players, many universities, not-for-profit companies, and CANARIE. And the goal of CENGEN is to, again, accelerate the commercialization of next-generation networking technologies. You know, Canada had a long, and we have a proud history of leadership in networking technologies, and we believe we have certainly the intellectual capacity to get that back. So this collaboration, this partnership, is designed so that small businesses can propose a project, they can join the CENGEN and deploy their new technologies using the equipment of the equipment manufacturers to check for interoperability on the CANARIE network, to test at scale, to try and move these products forward into the marketplace and strengthen our positioning in terms of advanced networking. Bon, cela était une vue d'ensemble de nos activités pendant notre mandat actuel. Mais qu'est-ce que cela nous apporte? Nous croyons que le renforcement de l'infrastructure numérique de la recherche générera un bon retour sur les investissements dans la recherche. Au Québec, 1,7 milliard de dollars en 2014 sont allés aux institutions. Nous croyons que ce montant devrait être utilisé pour la recherche et non pour la construction des outils ni pour les infrastructures. We also believe that a strong digital infrastructure ecosystem just gets us to new knowledge faster as researchers across the country in any number of domains are able to easily and transparently access a whole range of tools so that they can kind of follow their intuition, or that light bulb goes off, they have the tools they need to pursue that train of thought. So we think it will accelerate new knowledge and discovery, new processes, new products. We also think it is a better use of the funds we provide for research. In Canada, the federal government spends about $3 billion a year in university
research. And we believe that the maximum utility of that funding is on research, and maximum utility of research infrastructure funding should be on infrastructure. And they should be complementary, but we should be able to deliver the tools and services to these researchers to let them just follow their passions. We also believe, given our mandate and our vision of research, collaboration, innovation, anytime, that the more Canadians who adopt advanced digital technologies, whether they're researchers, whether they're students, faculty members, small business people, this builds a strong and sustainable and competitive digital economy for Canada, and that gives economic and social benefits to us all. Merci beaucoup pour votre temps et votre patience.